Hi, it's Big B, everybody. Today we're talking teams, and most importantly, we're talking about what class action lawsuits are going on right now and how they're impacting the real estate agent and team. How many of you are paying attention to all of the major news channels that are talking about these class action lawsuits? The lawsuit that the consumer was taken advantage of by realtors all over the country. Now there's more and more lawsuits, copycats being filed every single day, week, and month across the country. There's tremendous turmoil in the real estate industry, and so what does that mean for you as a real estate agent or team leader? Everybody has different opinions, and I certainly have my own opinions on this, but here's what I know. In the absence of value, price will always be an objection, meaning that when a consumer feels like they didn't get enough value for the dollar that they spent, then the dollar they spent has the perception of being too high. At the end of this video, and it's important that you listen to my thoughts and processes that we talk about with these class action lawsuits, at the end of the video, I'm going to give you this. This is called the Class Action Advantage System. And it's not only a recap of what's going on and the highlights of the articles and the news that are being written in the industry, but it's also specific to-dos and things that you can do to put yourself in an advantage when other people are pulling back. So what is the lawsuit? So let me just review some of the things about the lawsuit. In November, a class action lawsuit filed in 2019 on behalf of 500,000 Missouri home sellers against the National Association of Realtors and a couple of big brokerage firms came out with a verdict against the NAR and the two firms, stating they were liable for $1.8 billion in overpaid commissions. Copycat lawsuits have now been filed in Florida, Pennsylvania, California, and other states. How does that make you feel as a real estate agent? You know, for me, I've been in real estate more than 25 years. And when I saw the class action lawsuit and that the agent and the NAR lost, the first thought I had was, have I done the wrong thing for my buyers and sellers? Did I not represent them the way that I felt like I should? And the answer is, I don't believe so. I believe that I poured my heart and soul into every transaction. I put my clients in the best position to win in negotiations. And we always did the right thing regardless of what the effect of was on our commission. And so with that in mind, I believe most agents are actually good and they had the intention of doing the right things. Where this class action lawsuit becomes a little bit fuzzy and a little bit crazy for so many people is that the way that commission was disclosed on the settlement statement made the buyer feel like the seller was paying their commission. When the seller did the seller's net sheet, it showed all the dollars they were paying out and they came up with their total and they said, I need more than that if I'm going to pay a 6 or 7% commission, whatever the commission was. And so they increased the purchase price of the house so that the seller's net would be at a certain number. And so ultimately the buyers weren't disclosed to or didn't get clear information that by having the seller pay the commission, it could have affected the sales price of the home. And so they could have paid a little bit more for the home as a result of having the commission be put into the loan or into the purchase price of the home. Now, does that mean agents were dishonest? Does that mean agents were unethical? No, it doesn't. It just means that the way that it was disclosed and talked about in a lot of these scenarios put confusion in the eyes of the consumer. For consumers to go back and say, I don't want representation, I want you to think about that just for a minute. I'm going to ask this question. Who gets hurt if they don't get to have a buyer representing them in a transaction? It would kind of be like if you think about people who get accused of a crime, whether they were guilty or innocent, doesn't even matter. They're assumed innocent until proven guilty. They get accused of a crime and they have to go to court. And the court has a prosecutor, and the prosecutor says that I'm going to represent the state in going after this individual who's been accused of doing something wrong. That person is not allowed representation because they can't afford it. And so the prosecutor said, it's okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to represent both parties neutrally. That concept in real estate is also true. If the seller's agent gets to represent the seller's best interest and they represent the buyer, who is in the best position to win? And I think that the consumer ultimately is hurt. And most importantly, it's the first-time home buyer, the underserved communities, the people that don't have the cash to pay upfront buyer's commission, that are going to be the most harmed in the transaction. And that's the very group of people, whether it's minority groups or poverty level groups that don't have representation, are going to be the most harmed when we don't give them the ability to have representation because the seller's not paying it. So I'm going to say what that means for you is that today, home buyers and home sellers are being given all kinds of information in the marketplace about how agents aren't ethical and they're not doing the right things. It couldn't be further from the truth. I believe, and I firmly believe, that great agents are worth every penny that they charge for the services they provide. There's going to be some changes in the way we do real estate and the way disclosures happen, but in those changes, it's also going to create more opportunities. And that's why we call it the class action advantage system, where many agents are giving up their licenses. They don't want to deal with it anymore. They feel like they've done everything they can do and they don't want to go through another hard time. When the pundits are saying that real estate's changing forever and commissions are going to go away, agents and buyers and sellers all are confused. And when people are confused, they step back, they pause, they lose hope, they lose confidence in the system, and they don't know what to do. This is where great agents have the ability with confidence to come in and step in. So what does that mean for you? It means that you can gain your client's trust by being honest and by being full disclosure on who pays commission, how it gets paid, and whether or not if the seller's paying commission, it may affect the sales price of a home, which it absolutely can, but it's okay because it's wrapped into the mortgage. And the little bit of money you pay the agent, if the agent does a good job, is certainly worth every penny. Now, there's some agents out there for the last, I'd say since 2010, agents who have come into the business have never been through a balanced market. And so these agents don't know how to really work hard for a transaction. I don't mean agents don't work hard. I'm just saying that they've never been through a hard market. And so because you've never been through even a balanced market, you just don't know what you don't know. And so today, excellent agents who went through 2008 to 2010 learned how to buckle down, learned how to serve, learned how to do short sales expireds, notices of default, work with foreclosures, work with asset managers. They learned how to really change the way they did business to be able to serve the consumer based on what was happening in the marketplace. They know what happens when there's turmoil. Turmoil is happening in the marketplace today, and this is where a skills-based agent has an unfair competitive advantage. In the past 5 or 6 years, you had to show up. It was an activity-based market. If you showed up, you did some transactions. I mean, seriously, how many agents and people watching this video have been in the business 5 or 6 years? You're making $200,000 or $300,000 in the last 3 or 4 years, and then all of a sudden the last year, it's like hard, and now you can't even get close to that. It's because you don't know what you don't know. And so because you don't have the skills to be able to continue that level, you had the activity, now you need the skills in order to be able to get there. And we'll help you develop those in this skills-based market. Remember, I said that in the absence of value, price will always be the lever. And so you have to have the skills. I like to say there's 3 things everybody looks for when they can make a major purchase. Number 1 is everybody wants the best deal they possibly can get. They don't want to be taken advantage of on price. Number 2 is they want great service. They want unbelievable service. They want someone looking out for their best interest. And number 3 is they want price and they want a high quality product. Price, quality, and service are the 3 things everybody wants. You can almost always get 2 of the 3. So if the lowest priced agent is what you're looking for, which of the other 2 are you willing to give up to get them? The quality agent, the one that really represents your best interest, or the services they provide that put you in a position to be able to win in a negotiation? Price, quality, and service. What I found is most consumers want great service and they want high quality products and they're willing to pay a fair price for those services. It's when you don't deliver the quality and service that price becomes the issue. And so that is the class action advantage system. It's how do we communicate effectively with the buyer and seller? How do we disclose who pays what in the transaction? And how do we make sure that our clients know that we're representing them and only them in the transaction going forward? In the shift, the class action advantage, here's what I want you to consider doing. And I'm just going to give you a few things. Number 1 is I want you to continue to avoid any discussion of commissions between real estate companies and firms. What you charge is up to you, and it's absolutely negotiable. Everything is negotiable. I've taught my children that since they were very young. Number 2, continue to make it clear that all consumers' fees in real estate transactions are negotiable. Number 3, when compensation for a buyer's agent is offered by the seller and the listing agent, buyer's agent should make it really clear that it may affect the final sales price of the home. In other words, if the seller pays commission, the sales price may have been increased to be able to afford that. Now, this is a big one. Avoid steering your clients away from homes where a lower commission is offered to real estate agents. Explain that on properties where the seller isn't paying a full commission rate, that you require compensation, that they have to make up the difference. But you always show the right home. Our job as agents is to find the right houses for these people, and sometimes we won't get paid as much, and I'm okay with that. Next is be very, very clear. I want you to be absolutely clear with the buyer about the expectations of compensation. Where there's confusion, where the client doesn't know, that's where these lawsuits stem from. We believe the best way to use that is use a buyer representation agreement with full disclosure. I believe that the buyer presentation should look more like a listing presentation. Here's the services we provide, here's what you get, here's the compensation options that are available to you. More services would cost a little bit more, fewer services you may be able to get for less. We need to improve the communication between the agents, both buyer and the seller clients, and that includes better promoting of the value proposition on both sides of the deal. As real estate agents, while we represent our clients, we should never, ever, ever slam our competition or belittle the competition or the agent on the other side of the transaction. Everybody's doing the best they can for their client. A transaction should not be confrontational. If an agent is negotiating on their own behalf, they get all butthurt when a negotiation happens. When they're negotiating for their clients and they're doing it based on information and data, then everybody's trying to do the right thing, and we can always find a place where the buyer and seller come together. Agents who have higher training and they have a higher skill set and development, either through certification classes, through buyer agent mastery, listing agent mastery, and training that happen, are absolutely going to be able to command a higher fee because they have the credentials that position them as experts. And the buyer's agents just need to take more of a listing agent approach when they go into the presentation. If you'll follow the class action advantage, you'll start messaging to your client differently. I'm going to give you the class action advantage with the scripts on how to message to your consumer. They'll help put you in a position to be able to grow market share where other people are running scared. You're going to find that this class action suit is your advantage, not your disadvantage as a real estate agent. So embrace the change, pay attention to what's going on, make sure you pay attention to Workman Success Systems and all the things we're doing to help our clients serve the consumer better as a result of these class action suits. You'll have opportunities to gain and to grow market share where other people are running scared.